Dr. Peter.
Oh,
Family?
MCH. No.
I did 2 years of general surgery.
General
Was
surgery.
it?
Okay, good. We can have you start the IVs. Give me a break.
It's been years. I don't wish that on anyone.
I may need a cut down on this guy. Can you do a cut down on him? I have sutures.
I'm the guinea pig.
No, he has horrible, horrible veins.
That's what the file is.
Big
I've
skin.
heard that many times.
Yeah. We have a surgeon here.
And she's gone on medical leave. Can I put this closer?
Yeah.
I was recording. Okay. I'll just put it here on the chair.
So today we're going to talk about something that general surgeons don't like to hear about. There's a joke in medical school that an internist knows everything but does nothing. The internal medical doctor. The surgeon knows nothing but does everything. And the psychiatrist knows nothing and does nothing.
This is very cute.
That's not the joke, that's reality.
Yeah.
Sorry, sorry.
No, I'm talking about psychiatry, not about surgeons.
No,
okay?
surgeons like this joke. So it's
Yeah. And the pathologist knows everything but too late.
Okay.
But it is true, one of the most impressive doctors that I trained with. You know, when you're in medical school, there's always somebody that influences you, your thinking. And it was a surgeon at Robert Packer Hospital in northern Pennsylvania in the country. His name was John Thomas, and he was from England. And he was an amazing surgeon. Whenever, like the ENT guy got into trouble with a bleeder and couldn't stop it, he would call Thomas in, a general surgeon bit. And he would always say to me, Kondrot, you got to know the anatomy. Study the anatomy. You got to know the anatomy. Good God, Kondrot. And I remember one time, I was a sophomore medical student. We were out in the country, and he did a below-the-knee amputation. And he said, Kondrot, close the incision, but don't let the patient die. And he left the room. And I never sutured before. So the nurses kind of helped me through it. But the story is that we were making runs, and a patient went into the bathroom and was having a grand mal seizure. And there were an internist and somebody else was there by the door. Let's get somebody, you could hear the patient having a seizure. It was banging in the room, and the door was locked. They were trying to get in. And an internist was there. Let's call the janitor. And another doctor was there. Do you have a key that we can try? And Thomas came and said, good God, men, stand aside. And he just kicked the door.
They're kicking down.
He kicked the door.
Yeah.
So, you got to take action. So, but he's probably one of the reasons why I got into my ophthalmology residency. He wrote me a really good letter of recommendation, and I wrote a paper with him. It was my first medical paper. An unusual case presentation of something in the mesentery. That was a long, long time ago. So, but we're going to talk about homeopathy, and I became interested in homeopathy, discovered homeopathy. I was a very busy eye surgeon, and I developed severe asthma, and on 3 medications, and one of the asthma medications, the side effect was a tremor. And you can't be a good eye surgeon if you have a tremor. You're walking up to somebody.
Trembling. Wow.
I think we have to do surgery.
Yes.
You're going to
No
change
way.
your mind, right? And then I had to take a beta blocker to help the tremor before surgery. But the beta blocker caused the asthma to be worse. So,
Side
here I am
effect.
taking 4 medications, sick, and I felt that my asthma should be able to be cured. So my neighbor was one of the top pulmonary doctors in the city, and I went to him, And I said, I want my old lungs back. I don't want to take these medicines. They have side effects. And he said, there's no cure for adult onset asthma. And make sure you take these medications because if you don't, you could have a severe asthmatic attack and die. So I'm sure a lot of you heard this too.
Mm-hmm.
You have this disease, there's no cure, forget about it, take your medicines, be a good patient. So I had heard about homeopathy, and I had taken some homeopathic medicines in the past, because at that time I was doing a lot of marathon training and triathlons. So I was a fairly good athlete. I couldn't understand why I got the asthma. So I went to a homeopathic doctor, and I know it wasn't the placebo effect, because the remedy he gave me didn't do anything the first time. And I was disappointed. Went back again, he gave me a second remedy, nothing. But the third remedy, wow, the asthma just went away. I couldn't believe it. And in fact, I disbelieved it because I carried my inhaler around for a year in my pocket because I thought the asthma would come back. And that's been over 20 years ago, and I haven't had one asthma attack. So it makes homeopathy interesting. Homeopathy actually is the only form of medicine that attempts to cure the disease, except for surgery maybe. The surgeon cures the disease by getting rid of it. I don't know if that's the best choice. But actually in the old days when, 17, 1800s, the true physician would not consider operating. The surgeons were the barbers, where you got your hair cut, because they had the knives. They would do the surgery. So it was felt like to operate was the last resort. A true physician, a man of medicine, would never consider doing surgery. Of course, things have changed. So homeopathy is, I became really curious about homeopathy and began to study it, and I got my degree. And homeopathy is so different, and it's really a lot of confusion about homeopathy. When most people hear about homeopathy, they think, oh, it's good nutrition, it's vitamins, eating well. No, that's not homeopathy. Homeopathy is a distinct way of looking at disease. In homeopathy, we believe that the body has the ability, number one, to heal itself, and number two, that the body has a wisdom. Traditional medical doctors do not feel the body has a wisdom, right?
Right.
The body doesn't know what it's doing. If you have appendicitis, take the appendix out.
That's right.
If you have high blood pressure, here's something to lower the pressure. It treats the symptom, feeling like the body is a piece of machinery or an engine. But in homeopathy, we feel that the body has a wisdom, and every time you have a disease or a symptom, it's because your body needs that disease or symptom. So let me explain that to you. So if you get a fever, you need the fever. Maybe because you have an infection, the temperature has to go up to get rid of the virus or flu, or your body has to increase its metabolism to get rid of the problem. If you have diarrhea, your body needs the diarrhea. Maybe you ate something toxic, you have an infection, whatever reason. So just bear with me, and let's assume that the body has a wisdom. And of course, in Christianity and all religions, they teach that we're made in the likeness of God. And if we're made in the likeness of God, I would hope we have wisdom. So homeopathy, because we believe the body has a wisdom, we help the body do what it's trying to do. So in other words, if you have a fever, we actually give you a homeopathic remedy which causes a fever. If you have diarrhea, we actually give you a remedy which causes diarrhea. You'd be thinking, that's crazy. If I got diarrhea, you better not give me something that causes diarrhea. Isn't that going to make it worse, right? That's the common thinking. It's going to make it worse. But interestingly enough, it's called the law of similars, that a substance which produces a symptom will cure that same symptom. So when I was cured of my asthma, I was actually given a homeopathic remedy which causes asthma. Now, it's really not that far-fetched, because if you're allergic to ragweed and you go to the allergist, what does he do? He gives you dilute injections of ragweed. You don't say, hey, doc, are you nuts? I'm allergic to that stuff. Why are you giving it to me? So it's kind of like the homeopathic approach. And so in homeopathy, not only do we look at one particular symptom, we look at you as an individual. So homeopathy doesn't distinguish body parts. For example, the gastroenterologist just treats your stomach. The eye doctor just treats your eye. The psychiatrist just treats your mental symptoms. So many of us have ended up going to 3 or 4 different doctors. Each doctor is treating a particular symptom or disease, but no one is treating you. A homeopathic doctor feels that whatever is going on with your body, if you have 5 or 6 different problems, it's due to one condition. So a homeopathic doctor tries to find one remedy to treat all the symptoms and problems that you have. So already I've done a couple of you had your homeopathic case, and you may have felt it was kind of peculiar, because not only am I asking you about your eye problem, I'm asking you about your nature, personality, foods you like, your body temperature, illnesses over your past life, etc., all these things. And then we select a homeopathic remedy. Now, the only problem with homeopathy is that it's not easy. You know, if all of you have macular degeneration, each one would need a different homeopathic remedy. It's not like, oh, this is the remedy for macular degeneration. So traditional medicine doesn't treat you as an individual. So if you have glaucoma, everybody gets latanoprost. But it's interesting, at the last national eye meeting I went to, they're beginning to look at different genetic aspects of every disease. So now they've divided glaucoma into like 13 different categories. They're looking at glaucoma that might be due to a mitochondrial deficiency, glaucoma due to nutritional, and so they're designing drugs. So they're beginning to look at maybe the individuality of diseases. And I think when we start doing that, we're going to get much better success. But homeopathy, I mean, all of you here have an eye problem, but I look around the room, I mean, my goodness, you're so different. Everybody's so different. You're sitting differently, you're dressed differently. So homeopathy treats the individual. So not only do we look at the physical symptoms that you have, which may be many, we look at your mental and emotional. You know, what makes you happy, what makes you sad, what's your hot button, all these things, your dreams, why you selected a certain occupation, your childhood, all these things make up what we call a homeopathic picture. And we select a certain remedy based on that. So when I began studying homeopathy, I was very enthusiastic and was really curious to see if homeopathy would work. So one of the first people that I treated was a medical doctor, a radiologist from Louisiana, who was lecturing at the University of Pittsburgh, and he suddenly went blind in his left eye. He had a central retinal artery occlusion. We were taught in my training, once you have a retinal artery occlusion, that's it. Nothing can be done. The eye's dead. And I saw him 5 days after the event, and indeed his eye was blind. He could barely see light, and he was evaluated by the retinal specialist at the university, and they put him on a blood thinner, Coumadin, just so it wouldn't happen to the other eye. And he was a doctor from India, and in India, homeopathy is very, very popular. There's a joke that if you throw a stone into any crowd of people, you'll hit 5 homeopathic doctors.
That's a lot.
On every corner, there's a homeopathic doctor. So he came to me because he heard that I was an ophthalmologist who practiced homeopathy. And I said to him, Dr. Dada, you know, I've never treated a condition like this. And I don't know if homeopathy will help, but let me take your case, let me find out about you, and we'll prescribe a homeopathic remedy. So one of the things we do in homeopathy is we want to get to know the person, their nature, disposition, personality, and also there's something in homeopathy, and I'll be asking all of you this. What was going on in your life when you developed your macular degeneration, your glaucoma, or your cataract? What was going on? So I, talking to him, and I found out, interestingly, that he liked to argue. He says, Dr. Kondrot, I love to argue. Even if I know I'm wrong, I'll just wear the other person down until they admit I'm right. I was very proud of that. And then we talked a little bit more, and I says, well, what was going on around the time you suddenly went blind? And he thought, and he said, I lost an argument to my wife. Now, a traditional ophthalmologist would say that has nothing to do with you going blind, right? But the homeopathic doctor, that is everything. That's the reason why you went blind. And so I went into my homeopathic book and looked up all the symptoms he was having and prescribed a remedy. And I told him, let's give it a shot, take it, and let me talk to you in a week to see if, you have any improvement of your vision. So 1 week later, I had him on the phone, and he said to me, a beautiful remedy, Dr. Kondrot, beautiful, beautiful. He said, a couple of days after I took the remedy, things started to get a little clearer, and now my vision's perfect. Good job, Dr. Kondrot. And he said to me, you act shocked and surprised. And he says, what did you expect out of homeopathy? So, I didn't think it would even work. I just gave him the remedy, hoping for the best. So that kind of changed my perspective. I think that miracles can occur with homeopathy, and I see them all the time. The only problem is that homeopathy it isn't easy. It's not easy. I think even the best homeopathic doctor only gets the right remedy maybe 50% of the time. But when you do get the right remedy, it's amazing. Like John, he came in yesterday, his pressure was 50, 49 and 48 on all of his medicines, right? And I thought we were going to have to do surgery today. I gave him a homeopathic remedy yesterday, and his pressure now is 20 and 27.
Stop good.
Cut down in half.
Very good. His wife.
I mean, if you ask any eye doctor, well, it has nothing to do with it. It's probably just a fluctuation. So if you get the right remedy, just like with me, severe asthma, no cure, one remedy. So my goal is to get that right remedy for all of you.
Yeah.
Another interesting comment about homeopathy. In homeopathic medicine, we believe that disease comes from inside. We project our reality. And if you treat the disharmony inside of you, your world will change. So if you're an angry person, everybody you meet is angry and irritable, right? If you're happy-go-lucky, everybody you meet is happy-go-lucky. So we project our own reality. Same thing with our diseases. Because there's a disharmony in us, we're manifesting a certain disease. And if we take care of that disharmony, sometimes when you take the right remedy, the world changes, but you don't. And I always like talking to people on the phone, especially the men. I usually begin by saying, have you noticed any changes over the past month? And, well, I don't think it's really helped me at all, but my wife isn't irritating me as much.
That was not my wife.
And then I hear in the background, now make sure Dr. Kondrot keeps you on that remedy. Whispering in the background. And a good example of this is I was treating an engineer. And any engineers here? I don't want to offend anyone. But the engineering personality. This guy came in, he had a white shirt, pocket protector with 10 pens, black glasses, a short haircut, and I was treating him for glaucoma, and I was seeing him every month or 2 months. And his pressure, do you remember this story? Yeah, and he would have a notebook, and he would be recording the time I took the pressure, the time he ate, the time of the day, all these factors, and he was plotting them and graphing them, and a lot of questions, the engineering personality. And he wasn't doing well. He was on 3 medications, and his pressures were high, and I said, Mr. Smith, I'm not happy with this pressure. We're going to have to operate, because at that time I was doing a lot of surgery. But I said, before we operate, would you consider homeopathy? And of course he was interested. He wanted to do anything to get out of surgery. But at the same time, he had 100 different questions about homeopathy. What is it? How long have you been doing it? Any side effects? Which are reasonable questions. So I took his case to try to find out, about him, his nature, causative factors, what makes him happy, what makes him sad. And so I thought I had a good homeopathic remedy, and I gave it to him. And I said, come back in a month, and let's reevaluate you, and hopefully your pressure will be lower. If not, we're going to have to do surgery. So he came back in a month. I didn't see him yet, but everybody in the staff, all the girls were saying, Mr. Smith, I didn't recognize him. He's so different. So I walked into the exam room, and I looked at him. He had blue jeans on, a sweater, no pocket protector. He would come every visit with his pocket protector. Didn't have his notebook. He was sitting there, legs crossed, real relaxed. So I walked in, hi, Mr. Smith. I said, have you noticed any changes since you took the remedy? He said, nope. Didn't do anything. And I said, well, what about, where's your pocket protector?
Yeah,
I
where's that?
decided to change my outfit. And I said, your hair's a little longer, and it seems like there's a lot of, nothing to do with homeopathic remedy. And his pressure was lower, and we didn't get him off all his medications, but his pressure came down. But he felt that the remedy did nothing. It was kind of like, the world changed. So that's the kind of peculiar things you see sometimes with homeopathy. And that is why for close to 15 years, I completely abandoned my surgery. Because I said, man, this homeopathy is more powerful than surgery. When you give the right homeopathic remedy, amazing things happen.
See, you can work together.
But people make fun of homeopathy, right? There's an expression in medicine, that's not going to work because it's a homeopathic dose, right? If you prescribe a medication that's too weak, they call it a homeopathic dose, and it's not going to work. But in homeopathy, the weaker the dilution, the lower the dilution, the stronger it is, which is kind of
Okay, it's ironic. Wow.
So we give you solutions and dilutions that are diluted so far, it's like one molecule in the Pacific Ocean. That's how diluted it is. But scientists are